All right, so let's talk about this mock draft that I just came out with post free agency. Post free agency not really over, but the first huge week of it is, this is where the Saints had their biggest push to add players. Because when you step back and look at what the New Orleans Saints have done this offseason, one message, come through loud and clear to me. And that's this entire thing is about building around Tyler Shough. Free agency set the tone. They brought in offensive line help with David Edwards. They've added explosion to the backfield with Travis Etienne. They brought in the receiving tight end and Noah Fant. Even the special teams got an attention with the signing of Ryan Wright. So to me, these moves are just not random; they were intentional. But free agency only lays the foundation for this team. The draft is where you shape the future going forward. And with 8 picks in this mock draft that I came up with, including number 8 overall selection, the Saints have the opportunity to address their biggest needs while continuing to build a roster that compete for the NFC South for years. So today we're walking through a full 7 round mock draft for the Saints. So starting off first round pick 8, I got David Bailey. Now initially my intentions were to draft a wide receiver. I was looking at Cornell Tate. They were not really comfortable with Jordan Tyson, so I passed. So I took the next best player available, and that was David Bailey. And to me, he would feel the need if you take David Bailey. David Bailey became one of the most dominant defensive players in college football last season. 14 and a half sacks, nearly 20 tackles for loss, 3 forced fumbles. He was the centerpiece of that Texas Tech defense that went to the playoffs. But what really stands out is how he wins. According to the scouting report, he has bursts off the line. He bends the edge, converts speed into power. Offensive tackles have no margin for error against him. And that's the kind of player who changes how an opposing offense game plans. But let's be honest though, he still has areas to develop. Run defense consistency is one of them, according to these scouting reports that I've read. Lower body strength is another. But pass rush that's a premium skill in the NFL. And for a Saints defense that, they already lost Demarion Davis, he lost Alontae Taylor, possibly losing Cam Jordan. Um, and David Bailey gives them a new cornerstone to build around. Because that's what we're gonna be needing going forward. You got some of that back in Cade Nellis, but there's always gonna be room for more. Room for one more. All right. So you pair him with Cade Nellis, and that front four suddenly, that front seven has real teeth again. You know. All right. Second round. That's when I went back and got the wide receiver, and David Denzel Boston was that guy at pick 42. This is all about helping the quarterback Tyler Shough. Denzel Boston out of Washington is a big body receiver at 6'4", over 200 pounds. He's the kind of target who strives when the field gets tight. In the red zone, he is a machine. On third down and in contested catch situations, that's an area where the Saints really lacked over the years, ever since losing Michael Thomas in his prime. But in regards to Denzel Boston, um, he doesn't rely on blazing speed. He relies on positioning, timing, and strong hands. And to me that matters for a young quarterback because when the pocket collapses and the plays break down, you need a receiver um, who can win physically. All right. Boston had last season he had 11 touchdowns. Um, that's not by accident. That's trust from his quarterback. And for Tyler Shough and a reliable target like this gives him another safety valve in critical moments. So if you added him, you have Denzel Boston, Chris Olave, Devon Relay, solid pairing right there, solid pairing. And you got the two tight ends, Noah Fant, Juwan Johnson. Both of those guys are really good receiving tight ends. Round three, I got Keelan Rutledge out of Georgia Tech, plays guard and center. This pick, we go back to the trenches because protecting the quarterback is not just about starters; it's about depth. The depth of your offensive line really determines how good it can be. You know, and Keelan Rutledge is one of the most energetic interior linemen in this draft class. He brings physicality, he brings toughness. He also brings a non-stop motor to the team. At 6'4", 330 pounds, he has the size to anchor defensive line, anchor defensive tackles, and the mobility to execute modern run schemes. He is not a finished product though. I mean, what product is at the NFL and coming into the NFL as a rookie? His pad levels need work, and his technique needs to improve. But his temperament fits exactly what the Saints need. For a Saints organization committed to building continuity up front, this is the type of mid-round pick that pays dividends over time. So depth, depth for this offensive line is going to be huge. A depth factor, because we've seen in recent years how losing key members of that offensive line can really hamper the quarterback play. That's what happened with Tyler Shough. Not Tyler Shough. That's what happened with Derek Carr. You know, after Eric McCoy went down, the rest of those players from that line started to get hurt. We saw what happened. So, Keelan Rutledge at 73, third round. Pick four. We're going with a running back, Nicholas Singleton out of Penn State, pick 132. I know Saints already signed Travis Etienne, but always room for more though. Like I said before, and what Singleton brings to this team is speed, brings physicality, and he brings a different tempo to the offense. Um, According to the scouting report, he has been clocked at over 23 miles per hour on the field. That kind of speed, changes angles for defenders. He's not necessarily a primary ball carrier at the next level, but used in the right situations he could become a weapon. Think, outside zone runs, screen passes, change of pace carriers. It's kind of like an Alvin Kamara, if we're being honest. You pair him with A-Chan, and defense is going to have to prepare for multiple styles of runners. They really will. So that's how you keep an offense fresh over a full season. So I got the Saints taking a running back to add to their room by taking Nicholas Singleton at pick 132. All right, 136, fourth round again. I got the Saints taking a cornerback, Devin Marshall out of North Carolina State. This is the first player since taking David Bailey on defense and the Saints take in the draft that's on the defensive side. All right, because you lost a cornerback in free agency. and Lante Taylor. So that to me, that creates a real need in your secondary. And if Saints haven't addressed that yet, you know, um, Devin Marshall, Devon Marshall is the type of a mid-round corner who can earn playing time quickly. He had 16 pass deflections last season. That tells you how much he competes at football, for the football. You know, plays with aggression, plays with confidence, and he plays with instincts. I mean, at the next level, he will need to refine his discipline against double moves. That's part of the learning curve though for a young cornerback. But his versatility allows him to fit into multiple coverage schemes. And for a Saints defense that's looking to rebuild the depth at the secondary, that flexibility matters. So I do think corners a need for this team. I wouldn't be opposed to them. I'm probably gonna talk this in a different video, but I wouldn't be opposed to them taking a cornerback at 8. That's most likely Mainster Delaney out of LSU. So I wouldn't be opposed to that. All right. Pick 5. I got them taking the tight end, Joe Royer out of Cincinnati at 150, 5th round. Um, he's a blocker. He can block as well, and he's a receiving threat. He can clean. He runs clean routes. He creates separation, and he has some reliable hands. So that's a combination that gives him real upside at the next level. And right now, Noah Fant is on a short-term deal. So this, to me, making this pick right here is about planning ahead. You bring in a young player, develop him within the system, and that gives yourself, options down the road. So I think it would be smart to take a guy like this, just in case Noah Fant doesn't pan out. Just in case, just in case he does plan to pan out, and he, prices himself out and goes somewhere else. You have a guy like this ready to go. Short Warrior at 150. Pick 6. Well, not pick 6, but round 6, pick 172. I got Saints taking a defensive tackle, Dante Corleone out of Cincinnati once again. So that's 2 picks back to back out of the University of Cincinnati. Um, he's at 320 pounds. He has the strength to absorb blocks and hold his ground against the run, according to the scouting report. But what makes him special is that he can also generate pressure on passing downs. That's a rare combination. So because most nose tackles are run stoppers, few of them can disrupt the quarterback. Very few. It's a very rare bunch of players that can do that historically in the NFL. So Corleone will give the Saints a developmental interior presence with a real upside. So this is a depth pick right here. Most late round picks are for depth. You know. All right. So last pick on here, I got the Saints taking an offensive tackle at pick 190, 6th round. Keegan Trost out of Missouri. Um, it's about depth, like I said, protecting your quarterback. He's a developmental tackle with length and athleticism. He may not start immediately. He most likely won't. That's a major crisis on the offensive line. But he gives the Saints some flexibility at depth. And over a 17-game season, that depth becomes critical. There you have it. I got David Bailey at 1st round, Denzel Boston 2nd round, Keelan Rutledge 3rd round, 4th round I got Nicholas Singleton, 4th round pick, another 4th round selection I got Devon Marshall. Pick 150 I got Joe Royer out of Cincinnati, Dante Corleone, 5th round, yeah, 6th rounder out of Cincinnati, and Keegan Troll's final pick out of Missouri, offensive tackle. Those are my selections for my mock draft 1.0. So there it is. To me, first, I think in the first round, you're addressing need by taking the edge rusher. Middle rounds, they reinforce the offensive line, add receiving help, and you build the depth in the secondary. In the later rounds, you bring in your players at positions that matter long term. So to me, this is a very strategic NFL draft, and I expect the Saints to build like that, have their draft like that when it actually happens. So let me know in the comment section below how you feel about this draft. What are your thoughts? Who do you have in the 8th round right now? What's your gut feeling? Who, in your opinion, should go at 8? Should the Saints look at wide receiver at 8, or should they look at the edge or any other positions? Let me know in the comment section below. Peace. I'm out.